Spoiler alert, it all died before I started using it here anyway.
What
Okay.
time?
Harambe. That's his soul. Okay. Hey, on Wednesdays wear pink, okay? Honors geometry down here at the bottom. SWBA, who remembers what that stands for?
Students will be able.
Students will be able to. The T is silent, okay? No and draw points, lines, segments, and rays. Section 1.1. We started this section last time. We're finishing it off today here, okay? So the first, last Thursday, when I had you guys here, we did notes on the math testing day on Monday that we had, okay? We went over points, lines, and planes, okay, what they were, how to draw them, how you name them, how you'd write that, and some facts about them, right?
Let me just turn off the ringer real quick because I don't know if he's at my house.
That's probably a good idea. Is that your doorbell at your house?
I have a ring doorbell. I'm sorry. My house literally is a prison.
We did the bottom of this page, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Hey, if you weren't here, for that first part of the notes, we missed something. What can you do?
Look at the video.
Watch the video.
We didn't do it all.
What?
Yes, we did. Page.
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
Full page.
Oh yes, we skipped that part. We
Oh,
crossed
I
that
did
out.
it.
You're right.
Get with
You're
the
right.
program.
Well, we didn't do it, but we crossed it out.
Dang, I must have left.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You can tell because of the way it is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Okay, hey, wide segment, ray, and offset rays. We're gonna go through these same things with these, okay? A wide segment. So it looks something like this.
Is that supposed to be a D?
It is.
What else would it be?
Like a triangle?
A triangle is a letter.
You think that lowly in my triangles?
Yes. I do.
Then draw a
That's
triangle.
probably a fair point. I mean, I can see this. It's rude, but probably fair.
I love Mr. Costa's handwriting. Stop being so mean to him.
I don't.
It's drawn with endpoints. At, I just did the at symbol. Each end. If you're uncomfortable with the at symbol, write the word at, A-T, okay?
I think we, by now, I would hope that we all know how to spell
Which
ad.
part? At?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think
You'd be
so.
surprised.
Yes. Yeah,
TA.
double check.
It's complicated.
Um,
English
So-
is hard.
Sometimes. Okay, so it's drawn with endpoints at each end, so these are the points at each end. Endpoints at the end. What? No way, the endpoint is at the end? Who could have imagined that being a thing? Okay? Hey, named by. Okay, we name it by 2 points. I'll close up that P there, that way Maggie doesn't think that was a triangle or something there. Okay, triangle with a stick. Or an R. Or an R, yeah. Points.
What'd she say to you?
Oh, she was talking smack over my D earlier.
Your what?
My D. Up here, she's like, is that supposed to be a D? Supposed to be. Rude.
Well, I mean, sometimes you don't always have the best handwriting.
It's accurate. It's accurate.
But it's okay, we still,
But, like, I still
appreciate
appreciate
Mr. Costle Payton.
Oh.
Well, that's normally how eyesight works. Okay. Hey, words and symbols, okay? So we can name it. So you can write, remember we had these things where we could do the symbols before, okay? So you can use symbols as abbreviation. We did that last time. So you can say point, you can put the point C and point D, okay, as endpoints. And you draw a mini segment right above it. Now when you draw your mini segment, you don't need to have big points on the end like we do here, okay? You just have to draw a little line with no arrows, okay? So it's like our line, we have the arrows on each side, but this we just have to have the no arrows. And we know that's segment CD or line segment CD. And you can also do, if you wanted, you can reverse the order. The order does not matter. You can do segment DC, it's the same thing. Okay, Two names for the same exact thing. Okay? And we could also, yes, we could also write it out. So you could also say segment CD
That just makes it way too complicated.
or segment DC. Now typically, you'll see it written how it is on the top here, okay? But it could be written out as segment and it would just mean the same thing.
I think I'll just, what's easiest?
Yes, Alyssa.
So when they have like segment written out, you don't have to put the line.
Correct. Yep, that's a great question. So Alyssa was like, "Hey, Mr. Kossel, okay? When it has segment written out, do you have to put the line over CD? No. Because the line just tells it's the segment. So you either put the line over it or you would write out segment. One or the other. Good question. Good question. Okay.
Did you just like grow up and your dream was to be like Michael Scott when you were older?
Well, no.
Because Michael Scott wasn't a thing then.
But
Yes.
it just hit me. You are him, but a math teacher.
I don't know how to.
That's not true at all.
Thank you.
Have you ever watched The
That
Office?
makes me way too uncomfortable.
Yeah, I only make Rowan cringe
Boom,
cringe
roasted.
like once every other day at most.
Every day.
Fucking we only do see some days.
Right? That's the funny part. Okay. Hey, a fact about it: the segment contains all points between the endpoints. It contains all points between the endpoints. So the segment's made up of point C, point D, and every little point between there that we can't see. Okay? There's an infinite number of points between here, and it's made up of all of those as well as the two endpoints. Okay? It'd be kind of like this yardstick, meter stick, yardstick, meter stick, meter stick. It's kind of like this meter stick, okay? It's an endpoint, and all the points in between, okay? It's not like it's just two different things. It's not like it's me holding up two rocks, and it's endpoint, and nothing between it, okay? No, instead,
You still have your rocks?
yeah, they're my class pet for my advisor, okay?
You should have seen me and Peyton's alien that we made.
Go look at Miss Shuey's room.
I have a video. You want to see it?
Not right now.
It's great. I will explain it to you.
No, we're really good.
Okay, so it'd be like the endpoints with everything in between it, like a meter stick or a yardstick, rather than being like two rocks just holding. Okay. Let's talk about a ray. Okay. Ray would look something like this. And yes, those are supposed to be a P and a Q. At Maggie Bar.
So does it matter if they're like sideways or
You can do this at an angle,
with an angle?
or up and down, or whatever.
I hear some.
Sit down.
What did you? Okay, yes.
It smells so good. doesn't it?
So,
You're joking, right? What? No, I
Should I not
it
smell
smells
it?
it smells like coconut. It
Then
smells
I'll
like
say
something.
this is gonna
mine
happen.
smells like you did.
What'd you do?
Proved it.
What did you do?
Don't. Don't.
Do it again.
Don't.
Don't.
So it's John with one endpoint, and that's my little and symbol I use because I can't draw the actual and symbol. So I do like a plus sign, but I make it like a loop. Okay. So when I draw a plus symbol, by the way, it'll look like this. When I draw an and, it'll be like that. Okay. Kind of see the difference there. It'll be like a loop. And my and symbol looks like maybe a little bit different every time, I guess. Oh, that was a bad one. Okay. It'll look something like that. I'll go away. I'm trying to undo you. Okay, there we go. With one endpoint and one arrowhead. So it's drawn with one endpoint and one arrowhead. Okay? We had the line that was drawn with two arrowheads. we had the line segment with endpoints. The ray is kind of like a combination. It's shown with an arrowhead and an endpoint. Okay, so it's kind of like the line and the line segment were walking down the hallway one day. They're holding hands. Boom, they have a kid. It's the ray. Okay, don't hold hands walking down the hallway. That's how you have kids. Not good. Okay, yes.
Oh. Does it matter which way the arrow goes?
That's a great question. Okay, we'll get into that here in 1 second. Okay. Okay, so this one's also named by 2 points. Okay, so this one we have 2 different ways we'll name it. So we'll say you could do your points P and Q just like we did our points C and D. And this time we're going to draw a little ray above that. Okay? Or you can also write out ray P, Q. Okay, so notice on my mini ray I drew out for the symbol, one side does not have an arrow and the other side does. Okay, remember, it's like the line of the line segment, we're walking down the hallway holding hands. Now they have a kid. Okay? Don't hold hands walking down the hallway.
Is it just down the hallway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't hold hands walking down the hallway.
So like the lunchroom.
So the cafeteria's fine.
In the school in general.
Well,
Hey, order matters. Okay, the order matters here. Before, we could reverse the order, right? We could have called this segment CD or segment DC. Here, you can do ray PQ. You cannot call this ray QP because it's very specific that P is the endpoint. P is the endpoint. It starts at P and goes in the direction of Q. Okay? If you were to have it go the other way, it'd be an entirely different ray. Okay? It'd be an entirely different ray if it went the other way. If it went from Q to P, it'd be a different ray. Okay, the fact here, this is a bit of a long one, okay? Just a heads up. Okay? Part of a line. Let me just redo that part. That was a botch. Part of a line that starts at an endpoint and continues forever in one direction, not the band.
That is very long, right?
Okay. Part of a line that starts at an endpoint and continues forever in one direction. So it's kind of like if you had a line and somebody just chopped it at one spot. It still goes forever in the other direction. Somebody chopped there and made an endpoint, okay? It's kind of like what a ray would be. So a ray would continue going out forever this way, but it stops at P over here.
But like, what if like it hit something and it just went the other way?
that would have been another
It won't bounce off and go bing, bing. No, okay.
That's
Not,
what rays are.
not like a scientific ray. This is a geometric ray. It's different.
It's like out of the geometric shape though, so like you see what I'm going in here? Like,
Peyton,
does it like
One direction.
I'll direct you.
never mind.
Okay.
So if it hit something and then plotted that point, is it a line segment?
Oh, it's a band.
You could.
Actually,
So there could be a segment PQ, which would just be here to here, but the ray PQ goes forever in this direction. Maggie.
So I got injections in my back 2 days ago, and it really hurts to sit. So can I just go back and stay with you?
Yes.
Thanks.
I was wondering where this was going. I'm like, okay, that was good. Okay, relax.
Injections?
Yeah,
Okay.
Are you okay?
Her back is rotting.
Oh,
it's
It's like shriveling up.
shrinking in my body.
She's getting older by the way.
well, we all are.
Wow, Peyton, that was really smart of you to say.
Okay, opposite ray. Opposite ray, okay?
It's the other way.
Oh,
No, it,
No, it's just 3.
At 3 points. Oh.
I don't.
Okay, get ready for this. Get ready for this, guys. Get ready. Here's the fun part.
ABC.
1, 2, 3.
What the crap? What?
Uh,
I'm very upset. What?
I'm very upset at Mr. Carlson. I see.
Ah,
It's
I'm
not
really
even-
good at it. I'm really good at it.
I don't understand.
I fight with that at Mr. Carlson. I see you.
Still.
I don't understand.
Is this how geometry is gonna be? If so, like, can I drop it?
Your chapter.
I don't understand what that one
Right.
is. Well,
I'll talk about it. Talk about it.
We do now.
Yes. That's what I do. That's literally my job. To talk about things, math. Okay. Hey, so what this is it's two different rays that come together to form a straight line. Okay. So it's like you have this ray over here, ray BA, because it starts at B, goes in A, ray BA, and ray BC, and they're butt up against each other at B, and so they form a straight line together, but they're two different rays. So this dashed line, boop, 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 okay, that's showing the two different rays being separated at B, but they're still butting up next to each other, okay?
wait.
They share B,
I'm-
so this dash is just kind of an imaginary thing just to show it right now. Just say, hey, this is to highlight the fact right now, we're looking at a ray BA and a ray BC just butting up next to each other to form a straight line. They're two different rays though. Okay? Yes.
So like what happens to B? So, like,
It's
B
shared by both of them.
Yeah, but like B doesn't split, so like
Correct.
which way would it go?
There's two.
It's like the
No,
kid
they're-
of A
There,
and
it's
C.
it's always it would be
And
drawn
they're
like this
being
is
shared.
an opposite ray. Like it's not like you would separate them out. It's not like you pull them apart and be like, whoop, we have two B's now. We have half a B and half a B. We have B and one's called A now, one called F now. No, it's always gonna be butting up next to each other. It's like that. Does that answer your question better, Peyton? Alright. Yes, Alyssa.
That's actually really smart.
Okay. If it comes back, let us know. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
if they're not a straight line,
Yes.
do you still call it an opposite ray? Like, what?
Great question. If it's not a straight line, do we still call it an opposite ray? Okay, so something like this, for example, okay? If it looks like this, that would be two different rays. Is it still an opposite ray? No. They're two different rays that share an endpoint, but it's not an opposite ray anymore. Okay, that's a great question. It has to be a straight line. Okay?
What is that one called?
Those would just be two rays.
Uh,
Yes. Sorry you feel that way. Okay. So we draw it. It's drawn as a line, because it forms a straight line, that must, I'm going to underline that must, okay, must have at least 3 points.
How many can it?
Infinitely many. And the reason it has to have at least 3 points is because it's named by 2 points per ray. But they share one of them. So they share point B, we have to have 2 more points, one for each ray. So you have to have at least 3 there, yes.
Okay, so you drew it like this. Can it go like this?
Yeah. Yeah, you can go in any direction.
But that's still considered a straight line.
Yes,
It can be whatever it wants to be.
almost.
Except for
But,
curves.
How about you, Peyton?
Okay, so we would name it by saying ray BA and ray BC. So it'd be the opposite rays, BA and BC. And so you would put that like and between them, okay? Could we say ray AB and ray CB?
No.
No! Very good, okay? The order matters. Cool. You put your jacket on your legs.
Wouldn't it go the other way? The arrow goes the other way.
Which one?
BA.
BA? Alright, so Payne is asking, hey, wouldn't the arrow go the other way if BA, okay? So you get started out, you could write it AB, and have the arrow go this way. Excuse me. But we can actually just write it BA and still just have the endpoint first. And this is what we will more typically do, so that way we just stay consistent in how we draw our rays. So we'll more typically do on this top one. You could do the bottom one, it's just very uncommon. It's a good question. Okay. Facts. So the one fact is it's two rays that together form a line. So two rays that together form a line. Okay, questions? What?
You look like an ice cream cake.
I saw her.
I thought you were making a fat joke. I'm like, rude.
We dig it.
I know, I was kind of just like.
Well, you're a volleyball player, so
What's that got to do?
dig it.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were talking about it. I was like, what's that got to do with anything? But like, we dig it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. Okay. Hey, so outside the box, outside the big old table, we have some different stuff here. Okay. Let's go to those. Okay. So name the pair of opposite rays in this diagram. Okay. I want you guys to see if you can name that. Okay. See if you guys can name that. This is on the right of your table. Okay. So go ahead and write that down on your sheet. Okay. Write that down on your sheet, please, and thank you. Por favor y gracias. Data.
Right, what's down?
So on the right side of your table, you have this. Okay. So I want you to name the pair of opposite rays in this diagram.
But I thought you said it couldn't be that if it's
It is straight. It's just at an angle. So okay. So the difference between this and the one that didn't work was like it'd be like this and like that. But together they still form a straight line. So they can go any rotation as long as it makes a straight line. That's a good question.
You want us to explain example 5?
We're not there yet, but I understand.
Okay, it's just a hypothetical
I
question.
want you to find some horses and hold them.
What?
That's it. Find your horses.
Oh, I think it's in Morris's, and I was like, what?
Now, if you don't know where to find horses,
They're in the
where did you look? In the back. Okay? That's right. That's where I keep my horses, okay? Okay. Horse sack is attached, okay? Okay, and so name the pair of opposite rays. Who wants to take a stab at this one? Okay, Peyton.
E.
No.
Wait, what? Hold up. I said hold up.
I am.
Like this. You're not done. You said find the thingies.
Name the pair of opposite rays.
Yeah.
So like ray what and ray what?
I said Ray D or Ray D and E.
Okay, ray D-E, okay?
That's what I said. Didn't
I you said E.
Ray E.
I just heard E.
Also, I don't think you
Okay? Ray D-E and ray.
D C.
Very good.
Good job, Peyton.
Okay. Now could it have been called ray E-D?
No.
No. Okay.
couldn't you?
Okay, and then flip the symbol. Okay, sure.
Why? To be that person.
Okay, you just want to see the world burn, okay? Could we have switched the order of these two rays? Could we have put ray DC first?
If you're
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Draw ray QW. Go ahead and do that one. I want you to draw that. This is below the table now. Dope. Dank, dope, and Liddy. Eat. Cash money. Young money, cash money.
Go.
Oh my god. I don't get
Not that.
I know. I cracked myself up.
That's real big.
For a second, I thought your legs were so short that they're like hanging.
Now I'm like looking around, I'm like, alright. Ray QW. Okay, can I get a volunteer to come up here and draw Ray QW? Okay, go ahead, Riley. rude.
It's Wednesday, you have to go.
Well, that's kind of more of a
I'm so confused. Oh wait,
I'm not.
no.
I can't see what I'm doing.
I'm so confused, Mr. Carlson. Nice to meet you.
Too bad you can't jump out the window anymore.
That's the real reason they took that away.
Why? That was like a fire escape thing.
No.
Someone tried to climb out.
Are they like, are they okay in the head?
I thought you forgot for a minute.
I was like, it just caught me off guard. Like, oh yeah. Joe. Hey, I was scared about dropping that. I'm a soccer player, not something with my hands. Ray, Q, W. Okay, so we start at Q, go in the direction of W. Did it have to be left to right? Could she have drawn it like this?
Yes.
Sure.
You're already saying yes. Okay, whatever, guys. Okay, could it have been like that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it could have. Okay, could it have been like this?
Yes.
No.
Wait,
Okay.
hold on. What's that?
Oh, yeah.
Could it have been like this?
One of these is gonna be wrong.
You're thinking things right.
No.
No. Why not?
We just
Because Q and W are switched.
Because Q and W are switched. That's the bad one. Okay, you guys knew it was coming.
You really might be beautiful drawing.
Did your hand stutter?
Oh. Okay, much better. Okay. No, you ruined it.
Oh. Oh.
Like that now.
No.
That's too bad. Okay.
Wait, no, just keep on pressing back. Press again.
But it took away the Q though.
No, press again. Press again. There you go. No.
So anyway, can I get a volunteer to draw the line segment AB? Okay, Kevin.
Not Kevin.
Oh my god, that's who he is?
He's been in this class for how
I
long?
feel like I've seen him on like Instagram
You're a
or
lesbian?
something.
Yeah.
And I've like,
I feel like we need class
teammates.
bonding.
Yeah, why didn't we ever play one of those name games like every other class did?
We did names a little bit.
No, he might not.
we did not.
You were just like, you're here. You guys don't get to talk to each other. You don't get to know your names.
Can I answer 5?
We're already behind, guys.
Oh, I know.
Come on, guys, we're already behind. Okay, line segment A and B, perfect. Could it have been B then A?
Yeah.
Yeah, could this have been slanted?
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. Okay. Good job. Any questions on that one?
Oh.
Can I go home?
Good, no, it's not on that one anyway. Okay. Would Ray QW be the same as Ray WQ? Sarah?
No.
Heck no. Why not?
No. Because
There.
because on one of them Q's the endpoint
Yeah.
and on the other one W's the endpoint.
Very good. So they had different endpoints. On one of them, Q is the endpoint. On the other one, W is the endpoint. They're not the same.
Really bad handwriting.
Thanks.
I'm so confused about 6. Like,
I'm so confused on things. And Mr. Carlson, nice to meet you.
I did that again. Like,
Okay.
and
I
don't
feel
know
like
why
this
I
won't
tried.
die off by the time we graduate.
Nope.
Dude, it's not gonna. He's gonna be like here teaching for 20 years and reusing that.
He'll be like 50.
Okay. If line PQ and line RS are different names for the same line, what must be true about the points P, Q, R, and S? Alyssa? Okay. They could form an opposite ray. Not necessarily though. Okay. You're on the right track. Kevin? They're all on the same line, which would be true if they form an opposite ray, right? Okay.
Oh.
They're all on the same line.
We don't have to draw it.
Well, I'll draw an example.
But do we like this was a plan sheet? Would we have had to draw it?
Nah. Okay. So what this would look like, we're saying if P, line PQ, and line RS are the different names for the same line, well, we know to name the line, we have to use points on the line. So if PQ is the name of the line, then P and Q have to be on the line. If RS is also a name for that line, then we know R and S are somewhere on here. Do we know the order of the points though? No, we have no idea about the order of the points. We're not told anything like that. We're not told which points go where, like P is between Q and R, okay? We're just told by this that they're all on the same line. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, let's flip that page.
This looks fun.
so if you look on this page, we have this table, right? Okay, I kind of broke up the table so we have more room to write up here. Okay. Our first thing, lines can be top left corner of this. Is everyone on the right page? Looks like everyone's on the right page. Okay. Perfect. Dope. Dang. Okay. Lines can be parallel. Parallel means that they are in the same plane. They are two lines in the same plane. We talked about how lines, rays, segments, points are all inside of the plane. Okay. These two are going to be in the same plane. We can have different planes. Okay. And they don't cross. They don't cross. They will never, ever, ever, ever cross. So those are two lines. And now, is my drawing perfect? You guys are allowed to say no, okay? I'm not an art teacher, okay? My name's not Mrs. Sedlak, okay? Now, what we do is we put a little symbol on those lines so we know that they'll never cross, okay? So we have those two lines with two arrowheads on each side. I'm going to put the symbol in a different color this time, but we won't usually care about the color. I'm just going to do it this time so you guys can really see what I'm talking about. So if I put this symbol on there, it's just like a little extra arrow, one on each. That means these lines are parallel to each other. So that tells anyone who would look at this picture that they're parallel. So that way, in the case of bad drawers like myself, you would say, hey, oh, those are parallel even if they don't look like it. Okay, they look, oh, we might intersect eventually. No, they're parallel now. Okay? And we have a symbol that we use for parallel. Okay, we have symbols that we use for a lot of stuff in geometry. Our one that we use for parallel, it's two slashes. Okay, it ends up being two slashes. I drew that slight wrong spot. I put that next to parallel where I want to put that. It ends up being two slashes. And it kind of looks like two parallel lines. Okay? Ready? Okay. That's what it means that they're parallel. Okay, where do we see examples of parallel lines in real life?
Railroads.
Railroads. Where else?
Regular roads.
Regular roads. Yes. Okay. Where else? Sidewalks. What? Next to the roads. Okay. What about in this classroom?
The door.
Okay, the carpet
flags.
lines, the ceiling tiles, the flags,
The door.
The-
The lines.
the door. Okay. The windows.
Us.
Okay. Us. These
That's
rows. Okay. Very good. Okay. So those are all. Is that what you're getting at?
Me? Like, high five.
Good talk. Okay. Perpendicular lines. Lines can be perpendicular. This means that like the parallel lines, they are in the same plane. But instead, these cross specifically. They cross at a 90-degree angle. We'll talk about what it means in a few days. But it's kind of light there right now. They cross at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so let me draw a picture of this. Okay. Now, once again, you might not be able to perfectly tell us a 90-degree angle. A 90-degree angle is what's called a right angle. Okay, you might know that. You might not. Okay, that would be like a corner. Okay, so like the corner of this flag, if it's made correctly, would be a right angle, or the corner of this poster, or the corner of this brick. Okay, or like the corner of a textbook. Stuff like that would be a 90-degree angle, any sort of corner. Okay, now this might not be a perfect corner because I'm a bad drawer once again. So what we do is we draw this symbol. It's a little box. You just put that little box there, complete a little box, and that tells anyone who looks at that, that's a right angle. It's a 90-degree angle.
Really? I didn't know that.
How do you know? Where do you just throw the box?
Hold up.
How do you know where to write the box?
Like, you can't double know something, so you can't double know it.
Okay, perpendicular. Our symbol for that, it ends up being this. Hey, does that kind of look like the top half?
Oh my god.
Yeah. And it's also like an upside down T.
So basically, if I was upside down, it'd be like a handstand.
Where you could
Yes.
just flip the paper.
An upside down T.
See? Duh, it was funny, but you didn't get it, so.
I got it.
That was funny.
Okay. Questions?
Shape drone.
Let's continue. Okay, intersecting lines, okay? So intersecting lines, this is right below it. Okay, to the left, for me it's on the top right, but for you guys, it's the third column on the left side, or third row on the left side. They're also in the same plane. And these, they literally just cross. They can cross in any way, shape, or form, but the important thing is that they cross.
Doesn't matter how many times.
They can only cross exactly once. Bless you, must raise on an half, lest we forget.
You're welcome.
So they just cross in some way, shape, or form. It can be a right angle, doesn't have to be. Here I drew a non-right angle, a 90-degree angle.
Oh, man.
I just drew two lines crossing in some way, shape, or form, okay?
Low-key bothering.
Yes.
What if they don't cross but they touch?
If they touch, they'll cross. Because what would happen is, if they touch, okay, it's a great question. Let's ask, hey, what if they touch but they don't cross, okay? So hypothetically, if we dive down here and just look at this, so if I have a line going like this, my second one, it's not going to go like this and just kind of eventually cross and then like bounce, okay, because lines keep going straight, okay? So what would happen is, it would kind of just go like this and then keep going through and cross.
Like, what if it's
I don't know.
Like what? Yeah. What if there's like an emblem?
Like,
Like if one was like hovering over the other. So they're either the same line, or they're actually going to be parallel. Yeah, it's a good question. So what Alyssa was saying was like, hey, so what was like if you have this line and it's basically like almost like it's right over top of it, so they're touching at every single point. Okay, so either what would happen is that they're either actually the same line just on top of each other, they're parallel and there's actually some space in there we just can't see, or they do eventually intersect and cross. They do one of those three things, if that was the case. That's a good question. And we don't have any sort of symbol for intersecting. It's just going to be our most common thing is, oh, they intersect. So there's no sort of symbol for that one. Okay. If two lines are skewed, this one, they're in different planes. Okay, we haven't had that one yet. Before we had the same plane. This one, they're in different planes. And they don't cross. So like parallel lines, they don't cross, but what's the difference between skew lines and parallel lines? They're in different planes, okay? Parallel lines are in the same plane, they run next to each other. Skew lines are going to be in different planes entirely. So here, kind of imagine with me here, it's a cube, okay? So if I were to take this box, for example, and this is my cube, okay? We'd be kind of talking about like this line right now would be like line AB in the front here, okay? It's a three-dimensional shape, it's a little hard to view, okay? It's like this line GH is actually behind every other line. That would be the line back here by my left palm right now that's hitting it, okay? That'd be that line, the one you can't see right now. If I turn around, you can see it. Right here, you can't, okay? Oh, excuse me, okay? So here an example of two skew lines could be like line AB, and even though it's drawn as it stops right now, that's just how we draw planes, okay, but it actually would continue on, okay? So it could be like line AB and line DH. Those would be two skew lines. Because line AB, this line up here on my box, everyone looks at my box, is up here on this plane, on the front side of the box. Whereas line DH is down here on this side of the box. And so they'll never ever touch. They're not in the same plane. Line DB would intersect it, but yeah, but not line DH and line AB. Does that make a little more sense with this box? Okay. Continuing on, next column. Planes can be parallel. And once again, that'll just mean they don't cross. So for example, if the ceiling was a plane and the floor was a plane, they are parallel. The ceiling and the floor do not cross. That would be weird. Okay?
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Perpendicular planes. Much like a perpendicular line, they're going to cross at what kind of angle do we think? 90-degree angle, which we also call a right angle. Notice there's this little box drawn in here as well. We have two different planes. It's kind of weird to see how that's drawn there. But we have the little box there telling us, hey, they're perpendicular, okay? So that would be like the ceiling in one of these side walls. Okay, they intersect at a 90-degree angle there, okay? You could take up anything, yep, 90-degree angle. It ends up making a corner up there. Okay, questions on that? Okay, then our last one is just intersecting planes, okay? So this is just cross at any angle. These are crossing at any angle. They can be 90 degree or it cannot be 90 degrees. So it's kind of like our intersecting lines earlier. Okay, they can just cross at any sort of angle. Okay? So that'd be like this box and this paper if this was going in this way. They cross just at some random angle. Questions on that? Okay. We got this, guys. We got this. Okay. Last column here on this page. Okay. Intersections. Two lines. Okay. Two lines. 1, 2. Two lines. Yes, really. Intersect at a point. Okay. The line is made up of infinitely many points, and so two lines will intersect at one specific point. So I'm going to draw in that point there, okay? I can even label the point and call it C if I want. You can really call it any capital letter, I'll call it C, okay? Two lines will intersect at one specific point. It's not like they intersect at 2 points or 3 points, it's at one very specific point, okay? Two lines will always intersect at exactly 1 point, no more, no less if they intersect. Yes, great.
Why can't we name a point with a lowercase letter?
Because lowercase letters are used for lines. Good question.
Like that whole line is like lowercase.
Yeah, you can call this line lowercase letter. You can call it line L if you wanted. Or you can call it by 2 points on line as well. We don't. Either way. That's lowercase L. You can draw lowercase L in multiple ways. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Okay, there's all sorts of ways to do lowercase L's.
It looks like a fish.
Yes.
It looks like an uppercase
That would be like a more bold.
That would be this.
Yeah.
His little line
Yours
is
is
angle, so
curved.
lowercase.
Okay, planes. Two planes don't intersect at a point, but two planes will intersect at a line. Two planes will intersect at a line. So it's this line going through right now. So for example, the ceiling and this sidewall intersected this line that's all the way along that crease. Okay? Another example, this box, this front and this side intersect at this whole line. Everywhere on this line, they are intersecting. It's not just like it's only on this point they intersect, but nowhere else. Only on this point they intersect, nowhere else. Not like only on the corner they intersect, nowhere else. It's the whole line that these two sides or planes will intersect. Okay. Once again, this is just a 3D model of some planes, but these would really go forever in every direction, right? One more note on this part, okay? Little star here. Now, if you have three planes intersecting, intersect at a, let's think about this. Ceiling, sidewall, 1, 2, 3. They intersect at how many points? Just that one corner. They intersect at a point. So it's kind of like a line again, okay? So if we have this box, okay? We have this side, and the bottom. They all come together and they all meet at exactly this corner. corner, this point touches the bottom, this side, and the front at the same time. This point over here doesn't touch all three. This point doesn't touch all three. This point doesn't touch all three. The exact corner, that one point, is the only one that touches all three. So it's the intersection. Okay? You can think of the intersection has to touch all of it. Okay? So this line is the intersection of the planes, so it touches all of those two planes. Question on this page. Okay, let's flip this over. Okay? Last page for the day, okay? We're almost there, guys. Now we're cooking with hairspray. Okay? Little story time. Cooking with hairspray, okay? Have you ever heard the phrase or expression like, now you're cooking with gas, or now you're cooking with fire?
Yes.
Okay, what's that mean?
Now you're on track.
Now you're on track, right? Okay, because if you cook with fire, you're gonna be able to cook. If you're cooking with gas or or something like that, you're gonna be able to you're gonna be able to cook stuff rather than if you're like cooking in the sunlight or something like that, something silly, okay?
Wow.
But you're gonna be able to have a much better job doing that, typically, okay? So one time some of my coworkers while I was working at Walmart, okay, they good luck. Okay, they were having a cookout, okay, and fill it out. Whatever. Hey, good luck. Okay. I assumed where you're going, by the way. Okay. Hey, so they were having like a cookout and stuff. I wasn't able to make it. That was fine. I really didn't want to go, to be perfectly honest. Pretty introverted in that way. Night at home instead watching TV. Sounds good. Okay. Anyway, so they were out having a cookout. And they're like, how do we start the fire? And so like somebody grabbed a can of hairspray and like a lighter and like, shh, okay, don't try that, okay? And if you have, don't tell me, okay? And then lit the fire that. I just said don't tell me, okay? And then lit the fire that way. And they came back and told me about it like the next day at work. I'm like, and like my first thought was, now you're cooking with hairspray, okay? And so now I say that as a joke,
Wow, so funny.
right?
You didn't know that was flammable?
No, I knew it was. I just never have seen someone start a fire to cook with.
You never seen somebody make a homemade flamethrower out of bug spray or hairspray?
I have seen that. Okay. Just not
ask
start
Mr.
a
Howard,
fire to
I'm
cook
sure
with.
he's done it.
Well, duh. I mean, Mr. Howard. Anyway, it's gotta be beat that. Okay. Co-linear. That word, that first two letters co, that means to do something with. Co-pilot, co-teach, co-occupy. Okay? Co-operative. Co means to do it with. Linear. If we look at the word linear, what word do we see inside of there? Line, okay? Co-line. So this would be points on the same line. So collinear points are points on the same line. Okay? So if we look at this, all these lines and all these points, can somebody give me an example of 2 points that are collinear? Somebody give me an example looking at this picture of 2 points that are collinear on the same line. Justin.
P and R.
Points P and R would in fact be collinear. Is there another point with those two that's also collinear? With P and R, what is it? Q is also collinear, right? Points P, R, and Q are all collinear. Okay, you can say points P and R are collinear. You can also say points P, R, and Q are collinear. It's not like you have to have a certain number, unless it says, hey, name 5 points that are collinear, then you get 5. But if it just says, name some points that are collinear, you can just name 2 if you want. Taylor. U, P, and V. Very good, okay? Points U, point P, point V. Notice I'm putting the point between each of these. If I don't draw a little point before them, then I have to write out the word point, okay? Now, I'm a little lazy sometimes, so I will be more inclined to draw that point because it's faster and shorter.
Not really sure how many letters, but they legit get bigger.
They do.
It's not
Oh.
And your points get small.
Yeah.
The middle points get small.
I feel like you need to hire someone to write for you.
Oh, I'll do it.
But we'll be in class
What do we-
waiting
what
for
do we
Riley to
think-
write a W.
It's true. What do we think non-collinear will mean then?
Not
Very
like
good.
so far.
So these are points not on the same line. Okay, so somebody give me an example of some non-collinear points from the same drawing. Graydon.
T and B.
Okay, points T and V, they are never on the same line. Okay, somebody give me another example. Okay, Alyssa. Point which one? Point P and what else?
RV.
Point P is not on the same line as one other point.
T.
Okay, point P and point T are non-collinear. Okay,
I put in RV.
that'd be another example. Okay, you can do point P and point S. Okay, as well. Now, hey, what if I said point U, point T, and point Q? Are those all three on the same line? No. Are two of them on the same line? Yeah, but are all three on the same line? No, okay? So the set of three are non-collinear. But if I just said points U and point T, that would be collinear.
Wait, I'm
So I could say TSRQV.
Yes. As long as they're not all on the same line, they're non-collinear.
my brain is confused.
Okay, what about it?
U and T are on the same line.
Yes. So U and T, just the two points are collinear. Once you throw in Q, are U, T, and Q all on the same line? No. So as a group, as a set, they're non-collinear. Does that make more sense? Okay, it's a little weird. It is a little weird. Okay? Other question on that?
How could you like D, Q, and S are all on the same line, but S is also a T, S, and R,
Yes.
but it's still non-collinear.
Yes. Because not all of them together are on the same line.
So couldn't you just say all of the letters?
Sure. Top right corner. Example 1 here, okay? Name the 3 line segments that intersect at point A. So we have this box that's representing all these different planes, okay? 3 line segments are actually, really that should say line, excuse me. Name the 3 lines. Okay, I'm going to change that now. That's new. Okay? Name the 3 lines that intersect at point A. Okay? So point A is up here. What is one line that intersects at point A? Okay, line AG. Thank you, Rachel. Could we have called that line GA if we wanted to?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, line AG is one of them. Okay, I guess. Okay. What's
AB.
another line? AB. Once again, can we call that one BA? Sure. Okay. And what would be our last one that intersects at point A there? AD, right? Once again, we could call that BA. And if we draw those lines, hey, look, they all intersect there. Now, what do we notice in this case about all 3 of these lines? What do they have in common when we write them out? They all have point A in them. And does that make sense if they all go through point A? We could list point A for each of them. Okay, that might be a helpful way for us to think through that. Okay? Name the line, or first of all, questions on that before I continue, excuse me. Okay, number 2. Name the line of intersection of planes GAB and FEH. So remember, a line is named by 3 points, GAB. So that's kind of like the top of this box, right? So that'd be GABH would be the full plane. Okay, so that'd be like this plane up here. Okay, and plane FEH. So that would be FEH. So that'd be this plane here. So what's the line of intersection? What line do they both have? HG or GH, right? Okay, so line GH. Once again, it's a line, not a line segment. Okay, even though it looks like it ends there, because these are representing planes, they really go on forever. Okay? Now once again, notice I kind of outlined that, and that helped. And I think that helps us a lot visually here. Okay? Questions on that one? Okay, next question. Do planes GFA, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, GFA FA, so it's kind of like this one right on the back side there, okay? And planes HBC. Do those planes intersect?
No.
No, why not?
They're parallel.
They're parallel, very good, okay? No, they're parallel. Very good, very good, very good, okay. I know, motorized is almost one, sorry about that. This is a long lesson, a long first lesson, okay? They won't all do this, this first one's a long lesson. Okay, continuing on to the bottom left, okay? Coplanar, what do we think that one's gonna mean? Points on the same plane, remember that word co, okay? Points on the same plane, okay? Someone give me 2 points on the same plane. C and E, okay? Point C and point E. Very good, that would work. Okay, they're both on this plane that's kind of running left to right. Okay? Someone give me another pair of points that are coplanar, okay? Peyton. Okay, point D and point F, okay? So is point D really on both planes? Yeah, but it's still on the same plane as F, so they're still coplanar. Okay? What if I had said point H and point E? No, because H isn't on the plane, okay? What if I said point F and point E? No, okay? Hey, is this P right here, is that a point? No, that's the name of the plane. Is this R a point? No, that's the name of the plane, okay? Non-coplanar, what do you think that's going to be? Very good. Points not on the same plane. So someone give me an example of 2 non-coplanar points. Alyssa. Okay, point I and G. Very good. Okay,
So
go ahead. Drew a Q. I don't know how I got a Q.
would
there.
it be like the non-collinear ones? If you do the UT and B, could you do the same for that, like C, E, and F?
You could do point C, point E, and point F. Very good, Riley. Thank you for bringing that up because I was about to, okay? Point C, E, and F. Those are 3 non-coplanar points. Because are all 3 of these on the same plane? No. 2 of them are, but not all 3. Okay, so if we just said C and E, oh, those are coplanar. Once you throw an F, it is not. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. Let's look at this so we can know how to interpret the drawing real quick. Okay? Name the intersection of plane N. So we have this plane N here. Okay? And line AE. So hey, let's look at this. What do you think those dashed lines mean now? It's kind of going behind it. We can't really see it. It's just showing us it's there, okay? So that'd be kind of like if I had it going like this, okay, and I have it going inside of the box. I might draw a dashed line to show the part of the pen that you guys can't see right now, okay? Because it's still there. The part of the pen didn't disappear, so I might draw a dashed line there, okay? So that means that line AE is kind of going through, maybe my pen over there, going through the paper a bit there, okay? It's going through the paper a bit there. So it's going through the plane, okay? So what's the intersection of this line AE and plane N? Point B. I know we didn't really talk about intersections with lines and planes earlier, okay? What would be the intersection of line BC and line DC? Point C, very good. Does line DC intersect line AE?
Yes.
I'm going to agree with Kevin here. He said no. Okay, why no?
Because AE is going into the plane and not.
Yeah. Very good. So that'd be like this, okay? This pen going through it would be like AE, and just because how it's drawn, it's like DC is going this way. So they won't intersect, and they won't intersect, it just kind of makes it look like you do. It looks weird, okay? So no, they do not. Okay? You guys can go ahead and put those note packets away. I do have a worksheet. I mean Mr. Costle, okay? I do have some homework for you guys already. Okay? Reminder, if you don't have those syllabus turned in yet, turn that in next class or tomorrow, okay? It'll be late, but it's better than nothing, okay? And on the bright side, it's on pink paper because it's Wednesday, right? I didn't plan that. I just did that really well.
Oh.
Is that pretty cool, though?
That's pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. You can tell because of the way it is. Okay? Hey, when do we think this homework going to be due, guys?
Friday.
Next class. So Friday at the start of class, okay? So fun talk Friday at the start of class. Hey, what if I went too quickly and you were confused about one part there at the end? Watch the video, okay? You get to watch the whole video? No? Okay, you guys can just watch the last little part if you want, okay? All of that uploaded later this afternoon, okay? Yes, I do again. I did short it down a crap ton. It was like I think like 15 questions even. I just deleted them so I didn't have to print them. TBH. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. Okay. Yes. Let me talk quick instruction. On like numbers 4 through 9, on 8, 9. Numbers 8, 9. There's two N lines. You can cross out the second one. On numbers 8 and 9, there's two N lines. You can cross out the second one. Okay. Okay. I'll write that on Google Classroom as well. Okay. I'll write that on Google Classroom as well. Okay. So on 8, 9, there's two N lines. You guys can cross out the second one. Okay. The first line is what kind of thing it is, and the second line is how you would name it. Okay. Gucci gang. Once we get started, guys. This one ran late. It won't happen all the time. It'll happen from time to time. This one is a bit of a longer lesson to start us off. Okay, what is the kind? Like what kind of thing it is. So is it a line? Is it a plane?
Is it a ray?
Yeah.